Okay.
So on the women's side, on the men's side, great tennis played. On the women's side, shockingly, Donna Vekic lost yesterday. So it's one of her earliest losses in recent times because usually she's become a quarter finalist in most of her recent tournaments. So she was knocked out yesterday. But you know that it's women's tennis now. Women's tennis is the wild, wild west. Anybody can beat
It is the
anybody.
Wild Wild West.
So let's see how it goes. The tournament literally just started yesterday, so by today we expect some other heads to roll.
Let's see if other heads are going to roll. Like Tega said, women's tennis, the absolute Wild Wild West. You never know what you're going to get most times at the end of the day. Let's talk Champions League football here, where Rangers were sent crashing out of the Champions League
Wait,
after
before we
Dynamo
talk
Kiev.
Champions League, can we touch on summer with visa? Um, because I mean the Paralympics is coming up on August 28th, and visa are still exclusive technology payment partners. Okay, so
That one I want to hear.
let's talk about your summer with Visa. So here are your Visa dollar card offerings, and these are exclusive travel offerings. So if you want to travel to the UK and to Paris, especially if you're traveling this time for the Paralympics,
Okay.
you can still get up to 50% off your attractions and experiences on several travel websites if you pay with your Visa dollar card. You can also get
Hmm.
up to 8% off your hotel bookings, and you can get up to 12% off your flight bookings. All you need to do, there are a lot of offerings going on, but all you need to do to find out which offerings to which destinations, go to visa.com.ng and find out exactly what offerings they have for you this summer. Also, while we were here crying about no medal, do you know that Visa actually sent some people to Paris to go and watch the Olympics? Remember, I told you that they were doing that promo that you should go to
Yes,
Visa
yes,
dot
yes,
com dot
yes.
ng. They sent people, oh, my brother, it's paining me.
Hmm.
It's paining me that I didn't win. But yes, we will tell you more about those later on in the month. But yes, some people went to Paris, all expense paid trip by Visa. I will tell you about that campaign sometime before the month is over. But yes, to get some more offerings, please don't say I didn't tell you now. Go to visa.com.ng. All right.
Right, you heard it right there. So what are you waiting for? That's the big question. Okay, let's talk Champions League football really quickly here. And Rangers were sent crashing out of the Champions League after Dynamo Kiev scored twice within 2 minutes in the closing stages at Hampden Park, following the dismissal of home winger Jeff. I mean, that must have been a crushing
Yes,
blow for Rangers.
yes, they thought they nearly made it through. Then you know how it is. You don't stop playing until the referee blows. And unfortunately, there was a card which meant that they had to hold on tight, and they couldn't. And it's tough to see that Rangers are out. I mean, usually you see them out in the group stage. At
Mm,
least they'll collect the first group stage money.
exactly,
This
exactly.
one, last minute defeat. It was painful. It was bad. I don't know how they're going to recover by today, but it was a horrible way to be knocked out of the Champions League. Also, while we are talking of horrible way and shocking things, Jose Mourinho's Fenerbahce got knocked out of the Champions League.
I knew you were
Remember they
going
lost.
there.
I had to go there. I had to go there because I was mentioned that Jose Mourinho that went to Fenerbahce. I mean, when they were signing him on, European glory was one of the things that they would have signed him on for. And
That is true. That
for
is true.
for him to fail at the first hurdle, because that's a failure at the first hurdle, to not qualify for the Champions League um, group stages, then that's a big deal. Yes, but they were knocked out of the Champions League last night. So yeah, Jose Mourinho, we won't see his drama there. All right. On that note, let's quickly rush, take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk more sports.
Woo! Mm, let me drink water. Very, very important. Right. All right, you are welcome back to the locker room right here on your Love Music, Love Life station, Smooth 98.1, brought to you by Visa. Yes, yes, yes. My name is Ayokunmi Kikireako. Of course, Tega is still with me on the ride. We're taking you on a journey into, the world of the sports and everything. And of course, we've given you so many interesting stories thus far, and there's still so much more to come. But just to let you know how you can join the conversation, you can do that by sending messages into us on WhatsApp on 0809 4440981. You can also join us on YouTube where we're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, Tega, welcome back. Let's get back into the stories. And we're still talking football here. And Real Madrid is in focus right now. Yes. Clearly, a La Liga Champions League double last season was not enough to satisfy Real Madrid, who have welcomed the arrival of France captain Kylian Mbappe to an already stellar cast as they set their sights on another trophy-laden campaign. I mean, last season for Real Madrid, absolutely awesome. They said, you know what? We're not done. We want more. Mbappe, we are come and join our project. And it's
All
looking like
right.
a
And
fearsome forward line.
yes, a fearsome forward line, and we have the opportunity to see that fearsome forward line today. At least if the other alleged bid didn't go for. In case you have been sleeping, in case you have not checked your social media, in case you are on the moon, you know, just in case you don't know. The Saudi Arabia Petroleum, the Trust for Investment Fund that we should have, but we'll talk about that on a separate note, that we should also have in Nigeria, that trust fund. They have bid, we are hearing rumors about 1 billion for Vinicius Jr. Um, at this point in time, I just want to say Vinicius Jr. is young enough to go to Saudi for a year, collect that money for pension,
And come
and
back.
then come back and play in Europe. I just want to remind him that he's not European. He's from South America. So before he starts thinking, okay, I already have money, there's no money that is enough for South America is like Africa
Mm.
on a different
Mm.
continent. You
Black
collect all
tax,
you
pro maxed.
can all you get, and sit on it. That's what you should do. So he's been offered that money. But no, but and there are also reports coming out to say that Vinicius Junior's representatives have met with the people in charge of the trust fund. So it's one thing for them to come out and say, we have this money to give you. It's another thing
Mm.
for them for his representatives to be meeting with them. That means the gist has gone further. It's no longer, may I have your phone number? It means that they're started doing all those midnight calls. And that, yes, the relationship may be getting closer. So let's wait to see how that turns out. But that is ridiculously crazy money to
It's
leave on the
beyond
table.
crazy.
And like
It
I
is
remember
beyond crazy.
I remember other Brazilians that also had a budding career. I remember Oscar of Chelsea. One minute
Oh,
everybody was
yes.
talking about how he's going to be a fantastic footballer. The next minute the guy was like, "Look, I play football for money. I'm not the
Mm.
only talented person in Brazil." And,
China
and
came
he
calling and he
moved.
ran.
We never heard of him again, but he doesn't care. He keeps getting paid.
He
And
secured
so
the bag.
he figured him out. And so there's precedence here. So, but let's see how um how it goes, because ultimately it's a really interesting one. But barring that transfer happening, we might see tonight a front forward of Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Rodrigo, and what's his name? What's our favorite guy's name again from the UK? Jude Bellingham.
Bellingham. Yeah.
Yes, Jude Bellingham. So we might see this time the Real Madrid version of the Fantastic Four. So that's what we are looking forward to seeing. And unfortunately for Atalanta, it is their defense that they are going to test that Fantastic Four again. Now,
Sadly so. Sadly so.
sadly so. But the good news for Atalanta is that, I mean, this Fantastic Four, as fantastic as they are, it is not individuals that win, it is teams that win. So Atalanta will be hoping that they're still getting to know themselves and the communication is not so smooth. And based on that, they could take advantage of it. In fact, Atalanta is saying that they're going to give Real Madrid a game to remember. They want to be the Europa team that beats the Champions League team. They
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
they're making those kind of statements and saying that they want to start out. But Atalanta is also starting their own. This is their own competitive start of the season. So both
Right.
teams, I would say, are still what I call Cancun rusty. And
Yeah,
so
yeah. That
yeah,
is true. I mean,
yeah,
after the break and everything, it'll take some time to
yeah.
get back into the groove.
To get back into full. So they are still Cancun rusty. So it boils down to who can adjust on the day. Now I've seen a few Real Madrid preseason games. They look good. I haven't yet seen an Atalanta preseason game. So we wait to see how they perform this night in Warsaw. It's going to be tough. It's going to be interesting. I think for a lot of people, they like to know the winner. But ultimately, it's also to see how Real Madrid will set up with the players that they have. And I think that's the more interesting part. How do you set up having Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., Mbappe, and Jude Bellingham play together? That's what most people are coming out to see. Not necessarily the win, they take the win, but they want to see how those people perform because it's a fearsome, fantastic four.
It's a fearsome, fantastic four. And Carlo Ancelotti has a big headache on his hands. A good one to have for any manager, but
I
a
don't even
headache
think he has a headache. It's
nonetheless.
Carlo Ancelotti. He doesn't do all these mental health thing. If you fit the slot, you fit. If you don't fit, you don't fit. Yeah, it's people like Thomas Tuchel that be wondering, okay, how do I fit every star in my team in? Ancelotti just picks what works. They don't call him done for nothing. He's an
Hmm.
old school guy, still coaching in modern day football. Doesn't have time for sentiment.
Hmm. And at the highest level, I might add, the highest level of football. It's amazing what he's done.
Exactly. All right.
All right, on to the next story here. And this is a sad one for all the Mancunians. But not surprising, really. Manchester United defender Luke Shaw has suffered a fresh injury setback and will miss the opening 3 games of the season. That's according to a statement put out by the Manchester club on Tuesday. I mean, he's sustained a calf injury, which
Look,
they say will keep him
look,
out until next month.
Luke Shaw is struggling at this point in time. I don't know why. I don't know how they didn't release him. I don't think that they should be looking to sell him to anybody. That would be unfair to whoever is buying him. Can you imagine trying to? Because I don't know. He hasn't played as many matches last season, and then he starts the season again with fresh injury. Usually, people rehab and say, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to come back to this season fresh,"
Mm,
and not Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, oh, like I'm starting from where I ended, more injuries. The good news for Manchester United is that they bought a lot of, sorry, not a lot of, some defensive cover for this season. And I don't even want to call them cover because you can't call a player like Delete cover because he's actually a household name when it comes to defenders when we're talking about modern day football. So they've gotten good defenders, but to still look short for me on the Manchester United payroll is a shock. For a player that has injuries like that, usually you look to offload him very quickly, or maybe they're keeping him for you know what they say, you have to have several English for the quota system.
there's that. There's that.
Maybe they're
But
keeping for the quota because I don't understand why you keep a guy that is injured half the season. Luke Shaw spent half the time injured.
which is
So
rather unfortunate.
whatever you think he's adding to your team, he's going to add it for 4 matches at best, straight, and then he'll pick up another injury, and then he'll come back for another 3 matches, and then he'll pick up another injury. So what's he really adding if you calculate it? So it's a
Mm,
tough one for Manchester United. And they already, like I said, from the Community Shield, they're already starting with injuries. Luke Shaw is now out for the 3 weeks at the beginning of the season. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Manchester United. So if you're a Manchester United fan, brace yourself.
We're braced. We're braced. Tega, before we leave that story, just to get your thoughts on this one, do you think Luke Shaw should have sat out the Euros? Would that probably have helped him?
How can he sit out his country's Euros? Yusuf. They never look,
He wasn't fully
nobody,
fit now.
nobody, if given a choice of playing for their country at the Euros and the World Cup, nobody will sit it out. It's only Africans that do that sit out thing. Africans will say, oh, I want to cement my thing in the club. Africans will say, oh, and my club said I shouldn't come. Europeans, they will dump their club like a bad habit and go. They can go to the Euros on crutches. It's Africans that say, "Oh, I'm just recovering from an injury, so let me go and feature for my club." That's what Africans do, and I can't blame them to the extent that if they do it for AFCON or the World Cup, then it may be a tough one for them because African clubs play for European teams, but Euros European players, it is rare for them to sit out for their country to get ready for their club for what? Who is their club?
All right, interesting thoughts there. All right, let's talk about Manchester City. And finally, Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters says it is self-evident the case around Manchester City's 115 charges needs to be resolved for the good of the league. I mean, this thing has dragged for too long. Sort this thing out.
They
Finally,
should
we're
get
here at
out.
this point.
They were sitting on other people's cases swiftly. Other people's case, they were attacking it and addressing it very swiftly.
They were getting
Manchester City's
evidence.
own, and they're still getting evidence. 115 charges. You are still looking for evidence. Evidence is everywhere. On the floor, in the dustbin, in the shredder. There's evidence everywhere. So I'm guessing, because think about it. If you're a team like Everton and you have been docked points several times, if you're a team like Newcastle that, despite the influx of investment and the Saudi money that was invested in Newcastle, but they can't do much buying or much upward movement because already it looks like they have to sell some players to keep
Mhm.
some players. Because they have to sell some players to keep some players. With all the things that other people are struggling through, Manchester City are still sitting pretty on their 115 charges. And so, based off of that, I think the Premier League has decided that, you know what, we cannot keep doing this to other teams and not addressing the Manchester City elephant in the room. So, yes, they're saying that whatever the judgment is to come out as early as September. Arsenal will now be wishing that this thing came out last season so that they could have just won the Premier League. But we wait to see. At the end of the day, they have good lawyers. They may not find them guilty of anything. Because it's one thing for somebody to be guilty. It's another thing for you to be able to prove them guilty.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is definitely
So it's
true.
just like the US. You remember the US gymnast I was telling you about that her medal was taken? The US Federation, Gymnastics Federation, now filed an appeal saying that they have a video proof that the inquiry was made in time. CAS said they're not looking at it again. They're like, okay, you found,
Ah,
but we don't want to look at it again. Return the medal. I'm telling you. They're like, we
things
know
are
you have
happening.
new evidence, but we are not looking at this case again. And I don't know that there's another court that they can appeal to because CAS is like it's the court of arbitration for sports is the highest court. And
Mm.
they're saying we are not looking at your new evidence again. We don't care. Return the medal. End of discussion. So it's one thing for somebody to be guilty. It's another thing for you to find the person, prove that the person is guilty. So wait and see how that turns out.
We wait and see. All right, let's round up with some messages that have come in. I'll start with Tayo. Tayo says, Tebogo giving a hero's welcome was worth it. Not all the time do we achieve such a feat outside the African continent. I saw someone in that crowd mocking Noah, in quotes Charles Xavier Lyles. Tayo, calm down now. Please let it continue. Hold down for neck and shirt. He further says, only God can stop Real Madrid. That offer for Vinicius Jr. better be a rumor because I can go on his behalf for half the price. I'm with you.
You
I'm
know?
with you, my Yuri Adoluwacho Tayo. I will still block you. I will still block you. It's coming. It's coming. AY says Saudi Arabia also did something similar to what Botswana did when they defeated Argentina at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. In the EPL, Man City get the 115 charges, while clubs like Everton are the ones that get the deductions. What we're just talking about, really.
Yeah.
Lanre from the abroad says, Tega, which is more apt? Why is it that players always? Why is it that players always look showing, or why is it that players always reach Jameson? Ha! Y'all
Ah,
are
God.
mean. Y'all are
I think Rich
mean.
James. Wait. Oh, Luke Shaw's injury has been longer, so let's see. Luke Shaw is more apt.
Ah. Mohammed says this is the same Ancelotti that British pundits and media said was finished when he coached in England. Got back to Madrid and beat all teams to win 2 Champions League titles. It shows legendary managers need quality players and a club with history to perform. All right,
Truth be told,
uh, hmm. and AGK from August says, Luke Shaw eating out the Euros will at best or sitting out. I saw eating. Luke Shaw sitting out the Euros will at best allow him play a few preseason friendlies and still miss the better part of the season with injuries. Meanwhile, my Chelsea needs 3 team buses for their games. Y'all need a cruise ship for all your players, really. 115
I'm
charges
telling
didn't come
you.
up today now. The EFCC has sent some of its staff to the integrity units of the PL because I don't understand why this thing has dragged for so long. Omogbai says, but what would you advise, Tega? Secure the bag or legacy? That's in relation to Vinicius. Uh,
Yeah, I
secure the
secure
bag,
the
bro.
bag. Oh,
Secure the bag.
secure the bag. Oh. You're talking to an older person, so secure the bag.
He further says, what's even more worse for Manchester United about Luke Shaw is that his backup, Malaysia, is even worse off in terms of injury than Shaw himself. And Tega, there's nothing wrong in calling a player like Delict a backup. No way he comes in and starts playing ahead of Lindelof and Maguire based on experience. Lie, Omogbai, sorry, he benches Lindelof. Hands down. There's no arguing that one. You might want to,
Exactly.
you might want to argue Maguire, but Lindelof is benching him. There's Lindelof himself will go to the bench and tie his seatbelt
All right. So on that
easily.
note, I want to thank you for sending in your messages via WhatsApp, for streaming us on YouTube, and for tuning into Smooth 98.1 FM to listen to the locker room. Till I come your way again on Friday, it's bye from me.
All right. Thank you, Tega. Have a great Wednesday. Of course, thank you all for all the messages on the locker room right here on Smooth 98.1. Keep it tuned. Smooth Breakfast will continue. There's more great music to come. Ah, job done.